You are now listening to the smooth sounds of Loveatiya. Ciao, beautiful souls. My name's Atiya, and I am your future bestie in your head. I am a sex-positive animal activist. I grew up in Queens, New York, and was homeschooled/unschooled for about 12 years. I was a virgin until I was 24 and attempted to have a hoe phase for 2 years, which eventually led me to being accidentally/intentionally celibate. And here we are today. My past left me with a lot of wild stories, a lot of lessons, and a hell of a lot of trauma. Thank God for my wicked sense of humor, because God only knows I would have perished by now. With that being said, this is your gentle reminder that the Loveatiya experience was created as a safe space for me to reflect and share the lessons that I've learned from past traumas. Shit gets real on this podcast, and topics such as domestic violence, sexual assault, substance abuse, depression, anxiety, and suicide may be referenced. If you are working through feeling triggered by certain topics, this may not be the show for you right now, and that's okay. Healing takes time and isn't linear. I'll be here when you're ready. Now, without further ado, the Loveatiya experience is an experience. So get ready for laughs, crazy story times, and life-changing pleasure tips here on the Loveatiya Experience podcast. Hey, beautiful souls, it's your girl Loveatiya, and guess what? A bitch's anxiety is back. So in this episode, we're going to dismantle it and set up my life to be the type of life that can be one with zero anxiety, or at least like 5% of anxiety. Because sometimes anxiety, you do need that as a little bit of a razzle dazzle to like keep you alive. I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to having anxiety in my life that it feels like it's a part of me now. So maybe I don't need that 5%. But anyways, I recorded this podcast once, recorded 5 minutes of it, and was like, I need to meditate because I think I'm having an anxiety attack as I'm making it. And then I meditated and I felt so zen, so calm, so peaceful, and I was having so many epiphanies. But I still felt like the episode that I then tried to start recording just wasn't hitting for me. Now, life has unfolded. I haven't drank water yet. I should drink water, but I need to record this hour episode first. You know what, guys? No, I'm going to stop and take a moment to get water. I'm back with my tea or my water in a teacup. But that's one of the things I wanted to talk about was like burnout and putting so much pressure on ourselves to we feel like we have to just show up how everybody else wants to show up for them. And so I feel like as of lately, I have noticed, you might hear some people playing basketball downstairs, but I have noticed that when you are a people pleaser, you literally are showing up the way that other people want you to show up. You literally are giving to people what they're telling you that they need. And I think that there are certain things in society that we've been taught that make us feel forever indebted to humans as a whole. And then if we're not, like if we don't actively give our time and energy to other people, we're wrong. I think that is rooted in patriarchy. I truly do. I also think that service is rooted in colonization. Because think about it. All white people want you to do is do shit for them. That's it. That's it. All men want you to do is do shit for them. So remove that. And if we all focus on taking care of ourselves, maybe that need for all the shit you're trying to get from other people can come from within yourself. And there's this word hyper independent, right? And yes, that exists. But I think that hyper independence is really hard for people to focus on when they need to be needed. And I think it's very, very scary for people when they learn that I don't need to be needed. I don't want none of you motherfuckers to need me. I really don't. Now the dogs are barking, and guess what? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Because you think I give a fuck? Because I don't. What are y'all doing? Are you guys okay? Now I'm actually concerned. Like, should I call PETA? Yeah, I think that people need to be needed. And I remember one time my ex, who was the least person on earth who would ever be needed, because he literally had nothing to be able to give emotionally, physically, financially, and nothing. In that moment, maybe things have changed now, but he can even probably, well, maybe he can't admit that, but I can. But he was like, I need you to need me. Nigga, I needed you to pay rent 2 months ago, but right now we're backlogged and I'm paying all the rent and you still owe me damn near $2,000 at that time. So yeah, I remember at one point I literally kept a tab for him, and I'm like, when he said I need you to need me, I literally laughed in his face. Call that toxic, call it whatever the fuck you want to call it, but I was fed the fuck up for him to have the audacity to tell me that he needs to be needed when you simply cannot. So I say that to say I'm learning that I think I appease a lot of people's egos in my life. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I don't think that they're doing it destructively. But I have this friend, and she tells me all of her good news all the time, right? Now, I'm not like that person. So, like, I had a TV producer reach out to me. No one knows this. Like, I didn't tell anybody. It damn near took me 3 weeks to tell my dad. Like, I don't know. I'm working on, like, counting my wins and stuff like that. But my point is that maybe I don't tell people because I don't know if it's going to come into fruition. Maybe I don't tell people because I don't know if it's going to, if they're going to be jealous. That has definitely been a thing where I've shared my good shit with people and they act so excited, but deep down inside, they wish it was them or they wish it wasn't me. So all of those things I think have definitely played a part of me not always sharing all my good shit. But this friend had said to me, no, I love telling you like my good news. You're always the first person I tell because you're so enthusiastic and you cheer me on and you hype me up. And on one end, I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful because I know that maybe the people in her life don't necessarily have the capacity to be able to celebrate her the way that she wants to be celebrated. And I have that extra, well, what's it on my lip? If you're watching this on YouTube or Patreon, that was so weird. It's a shadow, but it looked like glaze. I haven't been sucking no dicks. Anyways, yeah, she was like, I just love that you're my cheerleader. Now, granted, if I continue to be my close friend, that shit comes naturally. I don't have to turn that on. Like, I'm just genuinely excited for you. Now, if I'm totally depleted and I'm not feeling well or whatever the case may be, then that fucks me up. And that definitely makes me feel like, okay, I have to fake the energy that I normally have naturally to be able to celebrate you. I don't have it, but you want to be celebrated right now, so I'm going to give it to you. And honestly, to me, that energy doesn't feel the same. But to your other person receiving the energy, feels great to them. They don't give a fuck if it's pseudo or not, as long as they're just getting it. Some people are just okay with just receiving that. And as much as people love to say, I understand you love your solitude, I understand you love your alone time, I understand you need to replenish yourself and pour into yourself, they don't really understand. Because if they really understood, then they would not continuously bring up the fact that I'm not available for them. This is a reoccurring theme. So I wonder how many people in my life are going to listen to this podcast and be like, is she talking about me? Because it's literally like 60 y'all doing this to me right now. And it just feels like a lot. And so I try to reverse the narrative in my head of like, okay, people love me so much. They want to spend time with me. I'm so grateful for these people. And then I also have the thoughts, I love these people. I can't wait to spend time with them. I'm so grateful for these people. But then it starts feeling like an ex I owe something to, or like a boyfriend that I haven't. I don't know. Like, I've literally had friends where I've been like, do you like me? Because the way that you're like going in about seeing me right now, and I don't know. And then I've also noticed I try to start my friendships out and my connections out, dating, whatever the case may be, with people, and letting them know that I communicate like this. I communicate when I can, when I have the capacity, because I quite frankly love pouring into myself. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I love owning a self-care company, because just like how I said that the needing to be there for people thing is rooted in patriarchy and in colonization. Yes, humans can desire, I can't relate to the word need. So humans can desire whatever they want from another human, but it's just a lot. And I think that the ending of that thought is the reason why I love having a self-care company, is because I'm teaching people that it's okay to take care of yourself. And I think a lot of the people who end up feeling a way about me taking care of myself, like, they're fine with my 1 tea a day. But like, if I'm like, oh, I need 2 days, or I need a week, or I just can't talk to you for a month, or whatever the case may be, that's when it's not fine. It's only fine when it's palpable for them. And I think that that's because we were never taught that we could take space. And so me radically taking space and me radically taking a day, like, it has literally been an adjustment to people in my life. They'd be like, yeah, I really did have to adjust to your Atia days. Because like, I didn't get it. And then slowly but surely, they started taking their own Atiya days. But what's interesting is that when people take Atiya days or whatever they call it, they still feel the need to pour into other people. So like, say my mom, she used to take Atiya days or Tracy days, and then she would be on her phone and she'd be texting me or texting friends. And I'm like, maybe that is a Tracy day, because it's not an Atiya day in where you don't talk to anybody. I think that's the whole point of it. That the entire point of an Atiya day is to not talk to anybody, because you spend 24 hours, 24/7 pouring into everybody else. So what if you just made that 24/6 and gave yourself that one day? And it sounds blasphemous for somebody to say you don't deserve that day. And it's fucked up, because I've heard people say it's really hard for me to take that day. It's really hard for me to take that time for myself and not feel like I have to pour into other people. It's probably really hard for parents, I will say, because I'm a single woman, intentionally, without kids. And my cat lives with me, so we have that together. But yeah, it's really sad to me that people feel like when you're selfish, it's a bad thing. And I actually think that being selfish is totally okay. Now, being selfish and having kids, maybe you should have made that epiphany about being selfish before you had the kid. You know what I'm saying? This is not your excuse to neglect your child because now you want to take care of yourself. No, you should have taken care of yourself before you had that kid. Now you got to focus on your kid and yourself. But, yeah. Just a thought, just a random thought that I just had on my mind. Like, I think that people sometimes get offended by me wanting to take my own space because they don't feel like they have the right to take their own space. But that is something that they have to deal with within themselves. So in the year 2024, 2025, although you are listening to this in February, I've actually had this thought since December. I've honestly probably had this thought since September because I had my shroom trip, and that was really, really enlightening for me. Like, during my next Atiya day, I'm going to listen back to my voice notes about my shroom trip. I'm going to watch The Woman King, and I'm going to, there was one more thing I said I wanted to do. Oh, look up my human design. That'll definitely be very helpful. But yeah, I think that after 29 years of being apologetic about who I am and what I do, I'm just gonna have to come off as a callous bitch. Like, I know it's a very extreme thing to go from being a people pleaser to a callous bitch. And many of y'all have commented this under my statuses before saying, Atiya, you can never be a callous bitch. You don't know me. But maybe callous isn't the word, because it is hard for me to be callous as an empath and as a sensitive. But what I think is me being unapologetic, I think that's gonna show up as me being a bitch to some people because I'm not doing what they want me to do, and that's okay. But I really want people in my life in 2025 who really love me for me and who don't have to constantly verbalize that they're adjusting or like changing their mindset because they're dealing with me. No, just don't deal with me. It's okay. Like, and I know that we've also talked a lot about like avoidant detachment and stuff like that. But what if secure attachment is really that? Like, what if I think there might be a thin line between secure and avoidant attachment. Now, granted, I don't think that I'm 100% secure, but I am secure in the fact of being by myself. And some people might say that's avoidant, but I'm not avoiding shit. I've tried it. It hasn't necessarily worked for me, me trying to mesh my life with multiple people. So I think that me giving people the room to grow and the room to keep up or the room to love me as I am or not. Like, I think it's okay to say, oh, this person isn't loving me exactly for what I am, and every time I hang out with them, they make so-and-so be a thing, that it's okay for me to leave that person behind. I think sometimes we get so stuck on like, we get so stuck. And this is about everybody. This is about family, friends, romance, everything. This, like I said, this is premiering in February, so I don't know where I'll be romantically or emotionally with friendships or whatever the case may be. But I just think that right now I've learned that I don't have space in my life for anything other than myself. That's really big to say. It's really scary to say, honestly. And so although I have felt like these last 2 or 3 years, 4 or 5 years, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, that I've been the side character to everybody else's movie, and they just call me in as the quirky fucking black friend that like brings light and fun and joy to the parties or to the day or whatever, to their life. I'm changing that from being the side character that just morphs when people need her to morph, to the actual main character, because it's actually my life, and I think that everybody should be a main character in their main ass life. Like, that just makes sense to me. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now with my unapologetic journey. Hopefully this is very helpful for those struggling with being unapologetic. I also talked about a little bit about anxiety earlier, I believe, and I will just say that I've noticed that although I have high functioning anxiety, my anxiety has definitely led me to some burnout, to some overwhelm, to some to the burnout. I think that's definitely a thing. And so I've seen it in me being emotional in the mornings, like crying in the morning and having this rush of thoughts. I've seen it in me talking really, really fast. But yeah, I just feel like my high functioning anxiety is not always high functioning and can show up as a very exhausting form of anxiety, which is exhausting. Even now, making this podcast, like, I have to be very cognizant about what I'm saying because my brain is so tired. But I feel like my brain is tired because I keep repeating these thoughts over and over in my head again. So if I can get these thoughts out and on camera, I think that'd be really helpful. Now, with that being said, I thought I had my book with me, and I don't, but it's okay because I want to share with you a story time. We're going to pivot a little bit, but this is also just about like accepting and loving ourselves as a whole unconditionally and advocating for ourselves. So I haven't, like I said, I'm still managing the whole anxiety thing. I'm really working on this. I haven't been doing my morning routine, so I'm trying to get back onto that. Being hydrated, making sure I eat right. I cooked well this morning. So yeah, just trying to keep up with myself, honestly, truly. So one of the things that I did to keep up with myself was book an OBGYN appointment. Because I told y'all, you know, I own a pleasure shop, Ethereal, whatever it's called, Ethereal X, Ethereal Pleasure. I don't know what the hell the name is by the time we get to February watching this, but I've been working on that. And I sell sex toys and pleasure products and vegan lubrications and cruelty-free body oils and a whole bunch of great stuff. And also, like I said, hair and skincare. If y'all are ever interested in collecting and enhancing your self-care routine, then check out Ethereal Self-Care. All my products are made with love and are cruelty-free and are vegan. But I went to the OBGYN the other day because I got this shipment of sex toys from my pleasure shop, and I couldn't try any of them because every time I would orgasm, it would hurt. And so, and when I say hurt, we're going to use trigger words. So it would cramp, it would feel like searing pain, it would feel like burning, it'll feel like hot. And that can be due to so many different things, right? So I've read the book to y'all, When Sex Hurts. Maybe we could do a book club. Maybe we could do a book club on Patreon, y'all. I'm gonna start that. I think I'm gonna start that in January. We're gonna do a Patreon book club. I'm so excited about that, truly. And we're going to read When Sex Hurts together on Patreon. And you can get it from Shops Adore. You could use the code LOVEATIYA to get 15% off. But that's where I got the book When Sex Hurts from. So feel free. Yeah, I think that'll be so dope. And maybe we can even do like a Zoom call at some point. Follow me on Patreon if you want to be a part of the Zoom call. Because I don't think I want everybody in that shit. Like on Instagram and TikTok. I can't like... what's the code? Moderate that. So yeah, if I can do it for my patrons, that would be dope as shit. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Okay. Also, for the year of 2025, I would like to get at least 10 more paid patrons. So I'm excited to see how that works. If you are not a patron or if you are on a free tier, treat yourself to my bonus content because you're going to be getting less content on here. So yeah. Join me on there. That is basically my form. That's my way of being able to pay myself. So even if you just sign up for a month and then you cancel it, at least you just kind of donated. Just as like a support or a donation for my podcast. But also no pressure. Just me asking for stuff. Because that's what I'm trying to do in 2025. Also, if anybody knows of any investors for businesses and for apps, feel free to send them my way. Shut it in my way. You sure look good to me. Now would you please swing my way? Shawty, swing my way, swing it over here, baby. Yeah, the OBGYN. So I was feeling a lot of pain in my vulva. I literally made an episode before this in January called Why Does My Orgasm Hurt? Or like, why does sex hurt? So for the last, I want to say 7 or 8 months before I would get aroused. No, when I'm getting aroused, I would feel cramping in like usually the left side of my vulva. And then my inner vulva. And then also near the entrance of my vagina. I did a whole bunch of research online. I learned that it could have been vaginismus. It could have been fucking vulvodynia. It could have been, there's another one that starts with an H that I can never remember. So many different options. It could also be like an inflamed UTI or like a fucking bladder infection. It's just, it's always a guessing game, right? So the reason why I brought up the book When Sex Hurts is because it shows you how to advocate for yourself as a woman in the doctor's office, because normally they will just tell you things like, it's all in your head, you're being dramatic, it probably doesn't hurt that bad, you just need to change your positions, it's something that you're doing wrong. All of the shit that they teach you in these bullshit ass schools that they go to is what they're regurgitating to us. And so in the book, they said that you have to use trigger words when explaining your pain. I've talked about this in another episode about my vulva, when I was experiencing vulva pain. So I said, instead of saying, oh, my vulva hurts, I told my doctor, before I masturbate, when I'm getting aroused or horny, because remember, there is a little bit of a language barrier. Although my OBGYN does speak English, certain words like horny or more like aroused might not really click for her, because she said like she didn't really know what that meant, but I'm like horny, turned on. She's like, oh, okay. So when I mentioned that, before I get aroused, I get this cramping in my vulva. I said in my inner clitoris, like on my clitoral bulbs, I think it's very helpful for you to know your anatomy when going into these sessions with your OBGYNs, because they know that they can only give you the runaround but so much, because you know what the fuck you're talking about. So I was like, my labia minora and my labia majora. So I didn't say, oh, my lips or point. No, my labia minora, my inner labia, and my labia majora, my outer labia. And you could think like minora, min, small, minimum. And then think majora, majority, big, major. That's how I kind of remember them. So yeah, I explained all that to her. I'm like, my pelvis, and I'm explaining these things. And so first she said, I also then said, because I do feel like you can't give doctors too much sometimes. I said, when I have sex, it feels like it's hitting something. And I was like, and I'm going to be honest with you, like they're not big enough. Like I really do not mess with guys with huge penises anymore. Because I just think, what the fuck, why would I put my body through that? But they're not big enough to hit a cervix or whatever the case may be, in my personal opinion, based on how I think my anatomy is set up. My anatomy and their anatomy. So I ended up telling her, she was like, well, it's probably the positions that you're doing that's probably really affecting like the pain. And I'm like, so I just avoid positions for the rest of my life? Like, do I experiment on which positions hurt the most and I just never experience those positions again? Like, why as women is our pleasure just like chalked to the side? Like, what if this position could feel good to me if I can get to the root fucking cause of the problem? So anyways, I ended up telling her one more thing about when I orgasm, I then feel this piercing sharp pain and this piercing sharp cramp in my clitoris and in my labia majora, which could also be just my inner labia, with my inner clitoris engulfed or enlarged, because when your clit gets swollen on the inside with blood, that's what helps your G-spot kind of like show up and enlarge. Your G-spot's always there, but it's just getting more aroused. So the more aroused you get, the more blood flows, the wider I think your G-spot grows, in my personal opinion. Just like how your clitoris gets swollen, everything is kind of swell, so you can feel it. Like if you put your fingers in between your inner lips, if you feel that is what you're feeling. Your inner clitoris is literally getting engulfed and swollen and excited. So with that being said, she said that it could be that my bladder was getting filled, and what I was feeling was my bladder. But as someone who has a relationship with squirting and female ejaculation, that wasn't it. I do know that squirting and female ejaculation can filter through your bladder, or does filter through your bladder, although it's not urine. But the problem is that I peed before I had sex in April. So my bladder was empty. I didn't squirt or do any female ejaculation or anything after that. So unless I have a bladder infection, because at one point she's like, yeah, I think you have oh God forbid. Oh my God, did you hear that? Good. If you didn't, good. But she was like, I mean, it's not taboo or stigmatized. I didn't mean to make a big deal out of it, but I didn't want to speak it into existence. she said, I think you might have a yeast infection. And I haven't had a yeast infection in a long time. But like last time I went, she said I had BV and I had a UTI. And now sometimes in the very beginning, I will say I didn't throw out some of the things I thought I had because I'm like, I don't want to put things in her mind. So let me just wait to hear what she says. She's like, oh, you have a little bit of discharge. So yeah, it might be like a yeast infection. I get it. Like the last time she did tell me that here in Mexico, like you can be pretty susceptible to yeast infections. I'm so paranoid now because like I'm like, is that a plane or is that a fucking alien spaceship? Beam me the fuck up. But anyways, it was a plane. But yeah, I just realized that I'm sorry, I just thought to myself, I was like, I should watch that movie, Leave the World Behind Again. But what? Like for what? For survival tactics? Who gives a fuck? If you're listening to this in February, then we've done good because we made it past the fucking inauguration and everything. Anyway, sending good juju to y'all. And for the people that think I'm just here in Mexico on vacation, bitch, I'm working. Like, I don't know who needed this. I don't know who needed to hear that, but like, I work. I'm working. I'm not on vacation. I would love to go out and fucking experience Mexico more. I've been in my goddamn house trying to make some money. So, yeah. Just know that. And I'm not talking about make extra money. I'm talking about make some money. Shit. Ew. Back to the OBGYN. She's like, switch positions. I'm like, okay. She's like, it's your bladder. I'm like, okay. But I didn't want to put these things out there until I really figured out what she thought it was. Now, mind you, usually when you have a yeast infection, you have to do a test for a yeast infection to show you like the microbes. How do you know that I don't have BV? What if I literally had BV again and you're prescribing something for a yeast infection? There's a abuela here. I'm literally going to go to the abuela and get my natural medicine from her. Because I'm not taking no more over-the-counter shit for this bullshit. Like, I can't. You didn't even test me. You literally didn't even do any tests to see if I had. You just looked at my vagina and said, oh, yeah, it's a little bit of discharge. Probably a yeast infection. Okay. Then she put something on my vulva. And it started burning. And I was like, it's burning. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. What did you just put down there? You didn't even tell me what you put down there. Like, I'm so confused. And then she does my ultrasound, which I do love that part. I do love when she does my ultrasound. And she checked my cervix, my ovaries, and what else is there? My uterus. And then, sorry, I just had like a really fucked up thought. And then I'll share it with y'all at some point. But yeah, she took my uterus, and then after it was time to get up or whatever, we went and sat down, and she's like, okay, so I'm going to prescribe you something for the yeast infection. She's like, I don't think you have a UTI because you don't show symptoms. And I'm like, well, what are the symptoms? And then she read off the symptoms, and I'm like, yes, I do. Like those, that I do go through that. Like you didn't even ask me. You didn't even ask me if I showed the symptoms. So there was that. And another part of me, at one point, she said she thinks that a lot of Americans come to her because she speaks English. And I started going in about how great of a doctor she was and all this stuff. But then I was like, I kind of wanted to just call her out in the moment. Like, this, I'm going to stop coming to you. Because all you want to do is prescribe me stuff instead of getting to the root cause of it. So she prescribed me the thing for a yeast infection. Then when I told her I do have shit that can possibly be a UTI, she prescribed me something for a UTI. And then she prescribed me painkillers. She prescribed me painkillers and told me to take them shits before I masturbated or had sex with a partner. Like, what the fuck? Painkillers? Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. So I was so in shock. I can't even lie to y'all. And my throat chakra was like, speak, say something. And I was like, I don't know what to say. So I was about to get up to pay and thank her for everything. And then she said, oh, the receptionist is not out there, so you could pay me. Great. So I sit my ass back down. And I said, I really don't want to have to take painkillers for this because I think that my body is trying to tell me something. And I think that that's a thing, like with women, like it's an underlying problem. And I think that I don't want to just put a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. I want to get to the root cause of the problem. I'm like, I think that I either have vaginismus or fucking vulvodynia or the other one that starts with an H or whatever. And she literally looked at me and was like, yes, it could be all of those things. It could be. Like, they all show up the same exact way. So after I gave my whole spiel, she said she knew a doctor that was a neuropelvic doctor. And that, to me, sounds like a fucking what I need. Like, So I think that maybe one of the problems is that maybe we don't know what an OBGYN does. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe an OBGYN is supposed to literally just tell you if you have a fucking UTI, a yeast infection, or BV. If you want to know about anything else, the OBGYN is not where you go. If you need to get prescribed for birth control, maybe. But my OBGYN prescribed me to a birth control that literally made me want to kill myself. So, you know, it's a fucking ebb and flow of a lot of this shit. But I can't. I'm just so tired. So tired. And I'm so mad because I feel like this doctor was one that I really feel like I could trust. And although she didn't traumatize me like the other one, I just did not feel, it's like, I literally felt like she was going off of the books. I felt like whatever white man wrote the book for OBGYNs, to like, I want to go to school to be an OBGYN just so I can see what the fuck they're learning. Because I know it's bad. But you have these outdated, antiquated antidotes of this over-the-counter medicine that you're supposed to be taking to feel better about your vulva pain. And then my friend commented and said that she also had a similar experience. And I'm like, no. And she said she took the pills. And she said she took 2 pills. And I'm like, oh no. Like, people don't know they don't have to take the pills. And she said she stopped taking the pills after a while, like after twice. But she said it made her drowsy. I'm like, so now doctors are literally having women drug themselves to not feel pain? We are literally drugging ourselves to not feel pain. That is not okay. That is not okay. That is not okay. You do not deserve that. You do not deserve that. You do not deserve that. And this doctor also tried to tell me that, once again, that pain is supposed to be a little bit uncomfortable. No, it is not. 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 I know that there are people walking this earth that have had sexual experiences that did not make them feel pain or discomfort. So let's stop telling people that shit, because it's not true. And I refuse, just because a doctor told me that, to believe that. Because doctors are told lies just as much as regular people are told lies. They're just paid to get told lies in their schooling. So I hope that one of the takeaways from this is, one, it is very important for us to advocate for ourselves. Just because a doctor tells you something about yourself does not mean that you have to go ahead and do that shit. When the doctor told me that I might have a yeast infection, I'll look up the symptoms of a yeast infection. I'll also look up the symptoms to the fucking a UTI, once again, which I've been doing over the last so many fucking days. And a bladder infection and all this stuff. But you know what I really need to do? I need to go to motherfucking Abuela and thank her for her services and ask her to please help me because my vulva feels pain when I X, Y, and Z. Because I'm sure she has a vulva and she's X, Y, and Z and probably felt pain at one point too. But I need to go to a medicine woman who really knows what the fuck they're talking about. And by the way, if you go to a medicine woman and they tell you some shit that doesn't feel right, listen to your gut. No one knows your body better than you. No one knows your body better than you. No one knows your body better than you. I feel like Dr. Umar when I be doing that 3 times shit, but I really need you to get that shit through your head. I really do. I really do. And this is maybe not the most gentle approach that I could come up with and that I could find, but it's the approach that I feel like women need to know because we have to advocate for ourselves. And just because somebody tells you some shit about you, it doesn't mean that you have to abide by it because it doesn't feel right in your body. It's like coercion. You know you can be coerced by doctors. I was coerced by my doctor in 2018 to get a pap smear. I was gaslit and coerced and convinced and manipulated into getting a pap smear. I was totally fine with not having my vagina ripped open and fucking poked and prodded with these fucking dry ass things to try to get some type of cells or something to check to see if I have HPV. I was fine educating myself on that afterwards and then making an educated choice instead of being literally gaslit in that moment by my doctor. She's like, billions of women die. And I'm like, that's not the approach you're supposed to take, bitch. I'm like 21. Calm down. So I think, I'm not saying that I'm done going to the OBGYN. I am saying I'm only doing that shit once a year. And so this was my 1-year checkup. And that any other shit to be done has to be done by a specialist. I have to go see this neuropelvic doctor. I have to schedule an appointment with her. I have to go see if she even specializes in vulvodynia or whatever the case may be, or vaginismus. And even the fact that the doctor was like, yeah, they all kind of show up like the same. girl, you have a vulva. You should be affected by this too. Like, oh God, I hate the medical industry because they're all the same. They're all the same around the globe. And although there are some that are not, right? Like my mom went to the dentist the other day and she loved the experience, and they were very caring about her health, and they only charged like $69 for like a whole procedure. Like it was a thing. So you have experiences like that, right? Because I used to pay $700 for my dental experiences. So there's that. But yeah, y'all, I'm just so tired. I'm so tired. I just saw this video the other day, and it was like, the guy was like, I'm having a breakdown. He's like, I gotta worry about brushing my teeth, washing my ass, taking a shower, charging my phone, doing work, getting paid, paying bills, setting up doctors and dentist appointments, eating, fucking taking care of my pets, and cleaning the house, and making sure my soul is okay, and therapy, and like fucking whatever. Like it's just this long list of shit we have to do, and it's like all I want to do is just have a vulva, have orgasms, eat fruit, pet my cat, and hang out with my family that I love. That's it. That's all I want to do. Like if I could pick the perfect life for myself. And I think that the horrible part is that society makes you feel like you can't pick out the perfect life for yourself. And you know what's really hard for me, y'all, is that lately I've really been wanting to advocate for women in this part of my life. But it's so hard when a lot of women don't know how to advocate for themselves. So it's like because of colonization and because of the patriarchy, I feel like I'm kind of starting at square one. And I think that my overall epiphany about this is that it's not my job to awaken women by telling them to awaken. It's my job to awaken myself in this lifetime so that I could just feel that and be great and inspire people. Because when people tell me I need to do things, I don't really be wanting to do them. But when people do things and I'm like, oh wait, that looks kind of lit and fun, and that person seems happy and free, that's what I want. I want freedom. I want freedom. I want freedom. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now in my life. I'm just trying to be free, say what's on my mind, flex my throat chakra. Like life is so short. We got fucking shit happening on this earth. So why not be free? Like why not be happy? Why not be joyful? Why not do what you want to do? Like why stress it? Why? And I'm telling myself this, like I said, I've been waking up with anxiety attacks and panic attacks, and I feel like I've been living on everybody else's time. And it's like, what if I go back and have my life wrapped, right? Like what if I die and I have my life wrapped and I watch everything that happened from 1994 to now, and I'm like, I was of service to the world. Like, I didn't even, like, I only had fun once a week, if that. I went 3 months without having any fun. I was being around people because they want to be around me, and I just want to be in my own space, living in my own glory basket, in my own energy. I was replying back to people's texts because I felt obligated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too much. So, I'm really excited. Oh my God. Is that dirt? Yeah. Okay. I think I just got toe dust on my nose. That was gross. If you want to see my toe dust, then check out my my YouTube or Patreon. But yeah, y'all, I think that's my epiphany. Like every day I'm just gonna ask, if we were to watch this day back at the end of your time on this earth, would you have felt like it was a waste, or would you have felt like, wow, this was, my soul needed this? And I'm talking about rest days. Like rest days are not wasteful. Rest days are really valid if you're spending them and pouring into yourself the way that you should. And I think that another thing I've noticed is like during my rest days, normally like for my Tia days, I'm so fucking exhausted, I don't even get to do half of the self-work I want to do because I'm so tired. I'm not going to be tired this time around. I motherfucking refuse, okay? So I'm proud of myself. I'm making it through these last little dredges of 2024. It's not a bad year. I think this was like a year of very gently shared lessons that just felt so heavy to me. So I'm really working on that. But yeah, my goal, I'm sorry for this episode. I'm not sorry because I'm working on being unapologetic. My goal was to talk about how to advocate for yourself. So I guess we'll end the episode with that. Does that sound good to y'all? All right, so first things first of advocating for yourself. As I've said before, you want to make sure that you go in with a very detailed list of everything that is happening to your body that you are experiencing. And when you go in with this list, you want to make sure that you are also adding detailed and descriptive words. So instead of saying, when I have sex, it hurts, say, when I have sex, my vulva and my vaginal entrance specifically cramps or stings or burns or itches or convulses or whatever descriptive words you can think of that match what you're feeling, give that to them. Because I think that definitely just helps. Also, I think knowing the names of your anatomy can help you when it comes to explaining what's wrong. So instead of saying, yeah, this little flap down here itches, like, no, that shows them that you don't really know what's going on. So if you can really learn, oh, this little flap is my labia minora or my labia majora or whatever the case may be, then I think that would be super, super helpful for you. Also learning the inner anatomy. Like, for instance, I still don't really get where my cervix, bladder, all that stuff is. Because then at one point she started saying, oh, your intestine, which one? Because I have a little one and a big one. So like, which intestine? She's like, that can sometimes get inflamed, and then if the penis can hit that, I don't think that the penis is hitting my little intestine, babes, but fuck it, maybe. But if we know where things are in our bodies, I think that would be really helpful for us to be able to advocate for ourselves. If something doesn't feel right in the moment, as scary as it is, speak up. Because they rely on us not speaking up and not expressing when we're uncomfortable, when we're curious. So speaking up sounds easier said than done, but you won't know how hard it is until you try to practice. And every time you practice, it'll get a little bit easier. And this is coming from somebody who finds it very hard who used to find it very hard to speak up for themselves, and who now finds it even harder to live with myself after not speaking up for myself. So I think that the detriment of me not being there for myself has definitely outweighed the detriment of hurting somebody's feelings for questioning their opinion. And if you feel like it ends up being a back and forth, which it shouldn't because they're a doctor in a professional setting, then let it go and never go to that doctor again. But just try so hard not to let that stain your perception of yourself, right? So for a while, like, my doctor told me that you should feel it should be a little bit uncomfortable, or it's normal for it to be a little bit uncomfortable when you have sex. Had to let that thought leave my mind. And sometimes people you love will also say things that don't quite make sense, right? This is a very, very random thought. But when I was younger, I asked somebody that I loved why we eat animals, because like it didn't feel right and I didn't think we should eat them. And this person that I love said, well, maybe God put animals on this planet to help nourish us. And when they said it, I was like, I don't think that this is really what the answer is. But after years and years passed, this person then has apologized to me profusely for saying this statement, because they just were saying what they thought would really help with my guilt and anxiety surrounding this topic of eating animals. But at the same time, they really didn't even know why we were eating animals either. They were like, good question, girl, let me think about it. And sometimes that's the better thing to say if you don't have the answer. Like, good question, let me think about it. Or, yeah, let me put some thought behind this. But sometimes we don't always have those tools in that moment. So yeah, I just ask that the things that people say, we don't allow them to stain us as much as I have in the past. I think another thing that's very important is asking questions. So if something doesn't make sense to you, ask the question. Ask the question. If somebody says, well, I don't think that you have a UTI, ask, well, what are the symptoms of a UTI? Because your doctor ain't asking you. So, I think that a lot of doctors really, really bet on the fact that their clients don't know what's going on with their bodies, especially their women clients. I think a lot of them really bank on just giving you the bare minimum, the basics. But then when a person like a Tia comes in and she has had the bare minimum, the basics before, and she knows what she deserves, that's when they have to be on their P's and Q's. And even mentioning certain things to them or certain words that may not be really all that familiar to them, like vulvodynia or vaginismus, Even when my doctor was like, yeah, those are all things that, they all have similar symptoms. Why are you not outraged that there's not some clarity on the difference or like how you can even decipher? Because at one point I said, I need a test. Like, what test can I take that they can tell me exactly what I have? I need a test. I don't want to experiment and try all these different things. I want to take a test. So what do I have to do to be able to monitor what nerves are going on down there? And granted, yes, like I said before, a yeast infection or a UTI can exacerbate certain things that happen when you masturbate. But yeah, I think that that's very, very important. Like in advocating, ask for what you need. That's the next one. Like ask for what you need. I want to test. You didn't test anything. You didn't test for a UTI. You didn't test for a yeast infection. You just guessed. So I would like physical proof, and even the physical proof is not always foolproof. Sometimes the physical proof is literally a jank test that gives you the wrong results, so you got to go to get a second opinion. I actually always recommend getting a second opinion. Definitely recommend getting a second opinion, no matter what. I had 3 opinions on my stomach, and I still feel like I need another opinion. Like, so, but at least on that 3rd opinion, it's like I got a little bit more of an extensive test, and after I get that test back, it's just exhausting. It's exhausting being Black and being a woman. So yeah, those are the best ways that I would consider advocating. You can definitely leave reviews if you don't feel heard. You do not have to be voiceless. Definitely help warn other people. I'm very, very, very tempted to text my doctor and say like, I don't want to leave a negative review, so I figured I would just express how I feel about this. But you prescribing me with pain pills made me very uncomfortable, and I really trusted you because my first experience with you was so great, but this experience just made me feel like you wanted me to subside my pain. I think that that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm really going to express myself, and I think that that'll make me feel really good, and that'll be the icing on the cake, because I just want to help prevent anybody else. And now granted, there are some people in the world, like I know men who have asked me for help with ED, and then I give them suggestions, and they're like, never mind, I'll just take a pill. And I'm like, okay. I don't really give a fuck about men's pleasure, so do what you gotta do. Like, if your dick blows off, your dick blows off. But with women, that whole, we'll just take a pill to make it subside. Or like, when women get cramps and they're like, well, I'll just take a pill. And it's like, take the pill. Please do whatever the fuck you gotta do to get through your cramps, because I get it. But also maybe figure out what the root cause is to why your cramps are so painful every month. What is literally causing that pain to where your first day is hell and you feel like you are literally on the brink of death? Like, what is the root cause of that? So I think if we could just get down to the root causes of all of this, then that'd be really, really, really helpful. And yeah, I think that would just be great in life. But y'all, I can't lie. Like, I'm just so tired of advocating for myself, advocating for others, advocating for animals, trying to get my shit together, help others get their shit together. I'm just tired. I am. But I'm doing it, and I'm hopefully by the time you listen to this episode, I would have found ways to be able to be even less tired. And this is me being tired after reducing shit. So imagine if I was still people pleasing and trying to see all my friends every day of the week and do all this, that, and third, and hop on phone calls and all this stuff. Like, I would be exhausted. Random catch-up work calls. Like, I can't. So, very, very proud of myself. Very, 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 very proud of myself. And I know that I will definitely be living the life that I want to live, no matter what fucked up shit is going on the outside of my reality. And that makes me feel good. So, with all that being said, I think that this OBGYN thing just pivoted me in a new direction in life. And it taught me I really need to speak about certain things online that are going to get censored. So it's like, where do I speak about those things? And I honestly think that this is probably the best place to express myself, because I can say things without shadow banning or censorship. Especially when it comes to women's safety. Like, we are on these apps and we are in a world where they do not want women to be or feel safe. So me trying to give tips about women's safety, and then me like comparing the white women whose women's safety tips get pushed to the forefront. I don't care. As long as someone's getting the tips, I don't care who the messenger is. But yeah, it's just a little exhausting. And I'm looking forward to, in 2025, having a team. If anybody wants to be an intern for me, reach out. If anybody wants to be a brand ambassador, I have something coming up for that soon. Hopefully that would have launched by the time you're listening to this. So yeah, y'all, I'm working on some shit. But in the meantime, feel free to support my pleasure company, theloveatiya.com. Right now, that's the website. Who knows what the website's going to be in 2025. I do have to get off Wix because they're fucking blowing line. So, yeah. But I cannot afford to pay $39 a month for Spotify for a website. My point is, if you would like to support me. And if you can't support me, then there are free ways that you can support me. But also in this lifetime, I think I don't care anymore. I think that's why I'm just talking about my shit. I'm talking about my finances. I'm talking about, I don't care. Maybe there's gonna be a broke bitch out there that is an entrepreneur that's like, wow, Atiya's not one of those entrepreneurs that's acting like she's making all this money. Like, I'll be listening to these podcasts and these entrepreneurs be like, yeah, I just made 1 million. I just made my seven figures. I'm like, good for you, bitch, because not me. So I'm not. And I wish that people would be more honest about their ebbs and flows. And okay, maybe you made 6 figures, but what are the expenses you have to put out? Did you have to put out 5 figures of expenses? You know, like, I don't know. Also, it fucked me up when I realized that 6 figures wasn't $1 million. Like, people used to be like, I just made 6 figures. I just made 6 figures. And I'd be like, oh my God, they're a millionaire. That's why math's important. So yeah, those are my thoughts. That's my rant. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Head to Patreon for more content. I love you so much. I hope that this episode helped you. Maybe I should end it a little bit more softer, because I know I was talking about like vaginal pain and OBGYNs, but I am who I am. I am who I am, and I'm tired of contriving, peace and blessings, love it. I don't feel like that today. I feel like this, and I feel like ending my conversation like this. So thank you for listening. I love you so much. Thank you for loving me, and expect more of this shit, okay? Expect more of me being the motherfuck me as can be. I can't wait. I love you. Stay tuned for some bonus content, I think. I might post my bonus content on Patreon, because I made a video ranting, and I just don't want it to just be there, so... I don't want it to just be deleted. So yeah, it might be on Patreon. Check it out. Love you. Do be kind to yourself and do be kind to animals. So I really do mean that shit. All right, love you. My titty's hanging out. Mwah.